Bruce Wayne may appear to be a wealthy playboy, but beneath this facade, his true identity is that of the Batman, waging an endless war against crime. Join the Caped Crusader in Batman The Audio Adventures, the first scripted audio original featuring Batman and his villainous rogues gallery in a world premiere story of life and death in Gotham City, debuting exclusively on HBO Max. This rollicking adventure, told across 10 episodes, is written and directed by Emmy winner Dennis McNicholas, includes devilishly delightful original music by Doug Bossy, and performances by Rosario Dawson, John Leguizamo, Chris Parnell, Melissa Villaseñor, Seth Meyers, Jason Sudeikis, Brooke Shields, Fred Armisen, and many, many more. Go to hbomax.com/Batman Audio Adventures for more and stream Batman, The Audio Adventures only on HBO Max. Autumn is in the air, the pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pants pumpkins when you're grooming, if you know what I'm saying. Make sure you're keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Boys, get ready for a cuffing season like no other. Ready to take the leap into fall with Manscaped? Join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code DelphinPod, DELFINPOD. You'll get 20% off and free shipping with the code DelphinPod. This is for us or for Marvel?
Both, man. If Marvel hears me and wants to hop me on there, then I'm
Wants
down.
to hop you on
Wants
there.
to hop me on there, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, including not just the cinematic universe, but the streamyverse.
The streamy?
The streamyverse, the multiverse. We're talking episode by episode of their brand new
episodes.
show. Is it new after 8 episodes?
The series
right? It's
itself
old.
is new,
I guess
but
so.
the episodes are new because
That's
they're
true.
not,
We've never seen
know.
them before. Well, we're on episode 8. We've seen all of these episodes of What If, and it's been a blast. The Disney Plus series, fully animated, paying a lot of homage to the movies and, the cast of
their storylines,
the
and
cast
whatnot.
of the people who play them IRL in live action stuff.
Yeah.
But here we are, the penultimate episode. There's only 9 episodes of this season, and we're going to talk about episode 8.
Yeah.
How exciting! My name is Manuel.
My name is Sofia, and boy, oh boy, are we going to talk about this episode, man.
Yeah.
Like, this was bonkers.
Episode 8, What If Ultron won?
Yeah.
Something that is groundbreaking because he's one of the major characters of the Avengers series, but also the only continuation of a previous episode that we've seen.
Yes.
Which is
is it the same? Is it the same Ultron? Because I thought that Ultron had all of the stones already, and this is
it's
like
the same
how
Ultron.
this is like how he got them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess a little before and a little.
This is like a prequel to as a sequel.
I know we kind of jumped up, but
But I mean, I was still, which is bonkers because I can't. Oh my god, what is with me and bonkers today? I
don't
can't.
know. You're really excited. I think.
I guess.
You're choking me. Let go.
But no, it's really crazy because we had just mentioned how much we wanted to see some villain activity and how much we wanted to see some of these what if like situations extended, and this is basically what we asked for. So thank you, Marvel, for listening to our fantastic suggestions, because I think it pulled through.
I think that they maybe have been planned, but this is, we're going to talk specifically about this episode, but just the fact that the Watcher and evil Doctor Strange and
you're just jumping
Ultron,
into it.
I'm just saying that all of these characters, a lot of them we've seen before,
fuck.
and continue the major story arc. Some of this was what some of the criticism of the series has been. People saying this just doesn't seem like the stakes are high at all.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a lot of, obviously it's a multiverse, so anything can happen, but here we have quite a bit of connectivity that's happening that might just tie up the whole the whole season,
series.
which is
Yeah.
exciting and stuff too. But Sophia, what'd you think about this episode? What if Ultron won?
I thought that this one felt longer than the others just because it didn't just stop abruptly like the other ones did, and it has a villain in it, and so that made it more suspenseful. I will say it is also super interesting to see bad Vision, and also like the voice is just not the same. Like it's
Ultron, yeah.
Ultron's voice on Vision sounds very weird to me. Like I don't like the way that it doesn't go with them. But I mean it's not supposed to, so it's like fine. And then it's very exciting, and I felt like I was connected more to my screen on this episode than any other episode. It had just enough of the Watcher in it too. Like I wanted to see him like reacting to a lot of things like outside of just like watching creepily in the background, which Ultron says a joke about, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, no, I thought it was everything that I had been missing from every other episode, because for me, like the other episodes were either really good feel-good episodes or like my heart completely shattered watching a lot of them. Like there really was no in-between like regular feeling Marvel-y type storyline, and this totally gave it to me, and so thank you. It scratched that itch for sure.
Yeah, I think that there's something really exciting that's happening, and I mean we've understood the rules of the Watcher as we've been watching the Watcher
We've been watching
ourselves. But you know, there's quite a bit that we visit a lot of the worlds that we've seen previously. A lot of characters. Captain Marvel is even in this, and we get a little homage, Thanos is in this, who gets sliced right in half. But there, you know, it's kind of visiting a lot of the stories that we saw previously, but now with this newer danger that is Ultron. And Ultron, I think, is a really great bad guy, because in the comic books he's a major villain, and we saw him in one movie, and we're glad that, you know, ultimately Jarvis went into the suit and became Vision instead of Ultron. But in this, we really do see the dangers of an AI who believes peace is just the end of everything.
Yeah.
And even at the end, when he destroys our universe, thinking to himself, maybe I should, you know, destroy more.
Yeah.
There are still a ton of question marks, I think, from here, though. I think the Watcher talks about an oath that he made to not intervene. Who did he make that oath to? Who knows? Is it Kang the Conqueror? I don't know.
I don't know, because Doctor Strange knows about it too.
Doctor Strange could see him as well. Yeah.
No, he knows about the oath. Like he asked him about the oath when they were inside his little unhappiness bubble.
Evil Doctor Strange's little sad bubble, where he's also the last person in his universe.
He was like, "You ready to take back that oath?" And he was like, "What? How you know about that?"
I'm also really interested because we get the story of Clint or Hawkeye and Natasha / Black Widow, who seem to be the only remaining survivors.
How did they survive?
They were in an airplane, but
also
then,
he has a bionic arm.
Yeah, how did that? What happened there?
What happened to his hand?
It's interesting because I like the fact that they went with two very human Avengers to be the last ones left, and they still are hatching a plan. Although, you know, there's still some heartbreak in this when Hawkeye.
They really don't have like superpowers either. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
they don't.
Can't, They don't have super strength. They don't have. They're just Also, I thought that it was super interesting that the freaking voice actress for Natasha was so spot on, man. Like she sounded just like ScarJo. And then I also think that it was super crazy that I keep saying super now too. What is up with me?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
You're becoming aware of your words.
I am. Speaking of becoming aware, I thought it was crazy that Ultron became aware of the Watcher. Like just how quickly he flipped that switch of just being alone for like 2.5 seconds, and then the Watcher was like, "Oh shit! Like you can't see me."
the pacing of this episode is really in line with the pacing of the other shows that we've seen, where they just, I mean, this could have taken years and years and years. Yeah. But we see him destroying everything in like an instant.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, it felt like it was longer, but I feel like again, just because of how, like the action
and the fact that it's not completed yet. Like there's still a whole other.
I felt like it was like a good Marvel-y type superhero thing, and I just enjoyed it a lot.
Well, I guess who knows? Maybe what if this is just the end of this, and the next one is just something else? That'd be kind of wild.
I also think that it's really important to note that the Watcher actually has a very powerful sense of like, I don't even know, what did he call it? It wasn't dedication. Oh, his will. The power of his will was just so like, and he almost kicked Ultron's ass, which is really cool.
I'm one of the really interesting parts of this too is the fact that Clint or Hawkeye seems to be super depressed and maybe wants to die. Especially since maybe this is taking the place over years and years, and maybe they are the only two left.
Well, I mean, he's lost everything.
His family again, yeah.
I mean, just the whole face of the earth is just like almost just completely destroyed.
And there is allusions to the Soul Stone thing where Black Widow sacrifices her life and they fight to be the one to jump over.
Yes.
But this time, I guess it's Clint's turn to fall to his death. With all those Ultrons, which is kind of right. Well, they find also a friend, maybe another part of Hydra.
A friend.
Zola, who is from the Captain America verse of things.
Yes.
Hydra, and they input him inside of one of Ultron's robots.
I don't know about friend.
Well, he's funny.
He's like
and he does help them. Remember, he ends up shooting a bunch of those dudes off of them. So
okay.
he's good now.
Sure.
Best friends now.
Sure.
And there's, we're watching this in the background, and there's finally something that I was really excited about. And that's kind of something from the new phase of films. Even
Black
though it's
Widow.
kind of old, Black Widow finds and uses Red Guardian's shield from the Black Widow movie,
right?
Which I think was the furthest along in development and is kind of a prequel. So maybe it's not. Shang-Chi, I think, is the first like actual Phase 4 movie.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see that because that's like, okay, cool. Like we're
coming full circle.
We're coming full circle. Soon
Yeah.
we're gonna see more stuff from this universe that we're already in right now.
Right.
I want to ask you what you thought of the Watcher and
In this ep.
Yeah, in this ep, because not only do we see him with these conflicts of whether or not to intervene, but he also levels up and we see his armor and he fights in this thing just like every other superhero.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like seeing that part of him was really cool just because, I mean, we haven't seen that before. And then also like because he is so stressed and he's just kind of panicking over Ultron and like everything that's happening very quickly. I think that he was just completely desperate. And so, like, I would understand his, like, moral compass being like, oh my gosh, I can't break my oath. But then at the same time, like, I also can't watch these, I mean, who knows, hundreds of thousands of universes and multiverses just being destroyed. And he even says himself, like, I could save so many lives by intervening. And he kind of, like, expresses his little conflict within himself, to us, which was really appreciated because I mean I empathize with them. Like I really wouldn't know what I would do either. Like it's that whole, what is that, utilitarianism, where it's like you take you what is it? It's like you sacrifice a few to save the many, if that makes sense. So he's willing to sacrifice his little oath to save literally thousands or hundreds of thousands, millions
Ultron
of people.
is the threat that does that. We even see him eating a galaxy this.
That was fucking insane.
Like Galactus from the comic
like
books.
as a freaking Pringle.
He just yum. I think that fight too with him and the Watcher is really neat because one of the things, I mean, we've obviously seen a ton of giant alien things fighting each other often in the MCU especially, but when they are fighting and each punch changes the different
the setting,
the changes the setting or world that they're in.
Crazy.
They're in like Times Square and Steve Rogers is being sworn in as president on the screen, and then suddenly they're somewhere else. There's a lot of interesting hints.
There's scrolls at some point too.
Yeah, and I totally wouldn't be surprised if some of those worlds we see later in other
that's
MCU
what I was
stuff.
thinking of whenever Doctor Strange was introduced to this episode. I was like, oh, this is like a little hint, winky wink to Doctor Strange multiverse.
I'm because Doctor Strange is one of the most powerful Avengers or just beings in his universe, and he's the last one.
He knew about all of these universes taking place at once.
And he also saw the Watcher, you know, at the end of his thing.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
do you think that we're going to visit other episodes that are in this season? This is a little bit of projection, but are we going to see some zombies? Are we going to see
for sure
other things now that we've even seen Evil Doctor Strange?
I feel like if we were already going back to Doctor Strange, I mean that was like what, 3 episodes ago?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course, it's totally possible that we would go back and see what the fuck else is going on in these other eps. Because I mean,
Who else do you think
these are all happening at one time?
if he's recruiting a team of people from the other episodes, who else do you think would work? We get evil Doctor Strange. We already saw the Captain Marvel of this universe be destroyed, which is crazy because we've seen her in other eps too.
Yeah.
Who else do you think is on that level of?
Well, even though that Thanos got sliced in half, that's just one version of him.
Because zombie Thanos is still out there.
There's multiple versions of everybody. So
Yeah.
even though this version of Captain America has been blown up, spoiler, that happened.
And also the Iron Man, it starts off with Iron Man pleading with Ultron, which makes you think that that's an absolute point in all the universes.
Yeah, but at the same time, I really don't think Ultron gives a shit. Like, I think the only thing that he would care... Sorry about our dog.
Yeah, he's bargain.
The only thing that he would care about is going to be just taking over everything. And not just taking over, like, the entire universe. Like, I mean, like, every living being is what he wants to destroy, because the only thing that's left is going to be all of the technology, like these robots that he has that are on Earth, or on the universe that we're seeing of Earth, or the version of Earth that we're seeing with ScarJo and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he was to jump from universe to universe, or multiverses, I don't even know how to say it. But he would just, I don't think he gives a shit about who's on his team and who's not, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be him.
Yeah. And Ultron, it's interesting because Ultron in the MCU was created by Tony Stark. So it's kind of his...
And it kind of
deal.
shows that at the beginning of this episode too, just kind of explaining the backstory behind it. Like, he was supposed to be a symbol of peace, and like he was created to be like a good weapon, I guess.
Yeah.
For like
Stark said he wanted to build a shield around the world.
Around the world. So it's like a good thing that he was supposed to be there, and then it's not.
Yeah. And we already talked about him slicing Thanos in half, but that was kind of the ultimate goal of Ultron. Stark saw Thanos in Avengers and saw him, with his giant army, and wanted to create something to protect the Earth from him. And I mean, I guess he succeeded in that, but also unleashed some crazy AI robot, and it's kind of wild. Well, how do you think, because it seems like Black Widow and Zola are going to be forced to leave their universe or find, because Zola, I think, can destroy right now. He can be I guess installed into Ultron and kind of take over the hive mind, but he's not in their universe, so he can't do that.
What?
No, I was going to say, like, how do you think, I mean, we were just talking about the team a little earlier. They've got to join the Watcher at some point, right?
I think it's very sus if Zola does enter the body of Ultron, because you have to think what Ultron has accessible to him within the body that he has. So that would mean that Zola has every Infinity Stone, and that he also has this crazy armor and this crazy body totally capable of doing everything that Ultron is doing.
Yeah.
And if you're strong enough to defeat Ultron, then that means that he's probably going to be stronger than Ultron, and within this little body that is super powerful. And so who's to say that he's just not going to flip it back on Hydra mode and just be a bad guy again?
Yeah, and especially since S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone, and so is,
exactly,
I guess,
literally
Hydra.
everything is gone. So it's like giving a bad guy the next boss chair. Like, oh, first boss died, and then so now your turn.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that happening, unless like ScarJo or Black Widow, excuse me, make some sort of like arrangement to guarantee that there's no possible way for him to flip it on them. But she's literally the only one left, like, in this scenario.
I guess we'd have to figure out what Zola's end game is, pun intended. But, whether or not, because Ultron he is a robot, and Zola's a person that was installed into a computer.
Yeah.
So it's just depending on what he actually wants to get out of it, because he has a little bit more freedom of thought, I think, even than Ultron, who just wants to eat galaxies and chow down, baby.
Yeah.
Num 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 num.
What was your favorite fight scene of this ep?
Oh, I think it was definitely the Ultron Watcher fight. I wasn't expecting the Watcher to fight at all. Yeah. But again, I'm not that surprised that the Watcher is involved in the comic books. He does he has a rule, but he does get involved often, and he dies in the comic book a couple times too.
Spoiler.
So the Watcher, and he's not the only one. Uatu is just one of them. So I mean, that's all stuff that could be explored. The other thing that's interesting too is the Infinity Stones are really powerful here, and it may be because a lot of this is the first couple phases of Marvel, and those were the big MacGuffins. You know, you were always waiting to see where the stone was in the after credits scene, or whatever. But in Loki, we saw a ton of Infinity Stones in the TVA, and they did not matter that much at all. So I wonder if all of this is only happening because of what Kang the Conqueror did, and allow all of and Sylvie, I guess, and which is allow all those, all of those variances and all of the breaks in time. So I wonder if that's the only reason why the Watcher and is surprised to see Ultron outside of his universe, because it's allowed.
Do you think that that situation is going to tie into this at the end of all of this?
It would be I would hope so, because we have evolved. We haven't evolved. Okay.
We have.
But the story has expanded beyond the Infinity Stones and the first couple phases. I think that's why these episodes feel fun to watch, but not necessary. Does that make sense? Because you are more interested now in the Multiverse of Madness, which is coming out. The stuff we saw in Shang-Chi, the stuff we saw in Loki and WandaVision, that's kind of at the forefront of your brain.
Yeah.
You're cool seeing a different version of an old movie you saw 10 years ago. But if they did that, I think that would be next level for Marvel, because it would mean that this story was thought out concurrently, or that means that they were planning on. I mean, and then
which I'm sure they have.
Yeah, and my biggest question is, after we learn what the TVA is and what their whole job is, I'm like, where are they this whole time? Damn.
Yeah, I do think that it's interesting that they made the Infinity Stones very well, not very powerful, but
super central.
Semi-powerful. Yeah. Because, I mean, at the same time, you see the Watcher really defend himself and really kind of reverse it back onto Ultron there, even with multiple Infinity Stones attacking at once.
Yeah, the Watcher doesn't need any Infinity Stones.
No, he's just powerful enough. And Ultron has a really good point whenever he does mention that you had all of these abilities, you have all of this right here in front of you, and all you chose to do was watch.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, same. I feel the same way.
I mean, this kind of boils down to what the purpose of the Watcher is, and he's got a purpose in the comic books, which I won't talk about because it may actually be what happens here. But there's a lot that we need to explore. I mean, it comes back to those questions: who did he make the oath to?
Yeah.
Why he do this?
Who's his boss?
Who is his? I want to talk to the manager. I want to talk to the Watcher's manager. Yeah. Because he is an alien. He's a being. So it's not like he's just an idea of something. He's an actual living, breathing being that can be grabbed. Ooh, that sounds weird. That can be
he can.
That can be killed or or whatever, because we see Ultron doing some of that. But
I wonder if there's only one of him.
Watcher?
Yeah. No, that's right. You said there's not. Yeah.
We've also seen we've seen the Watcher in the MCU movies too. Yeah. One of Stan Lee's cameo is him as a Watcher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
it's
cool.
really fun. I forgot which movie it is. It might actually be one of the Thor films, but it's interesting, how important Uatu is, because with infinite universes, you need more than one Watcher.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You need a couple of those guys. To help. What do you think what are you looking forward to in the next episode, which I guess is the final episode?
Oof. I mean, obviously, I say obviously, but we really don't know, do we? I do. Oh, also, it was actually a really pleasant surprise to have Ben Cumberbatch in this. That was nice.
Yeah, and they did that little fun also starring at the end.
Yeah.
Oh my god, roll my eyes, LMFAO.
Yeah. Okay, but no, I do think that there's going to be a continuation of this episode, which is the first time that this is happening. Or I guess this was the first continuation, and then now it's going to be an actual sequel to this episode.
It's a direct two-part, but
two-parter.
It also leans into a three-part, because the ending of the one before this also had
kind of led into this.
Had Ultron with his Infinity Stones coming in.
Yeah. But I think that I hope that it's going to be a continuation off of this, just because I'm super fascinated to see what the fuck is going to happen. Because now it's well, damn, is he gonna let Ultron kind of fuck everything up?
Yeah. And there's also this idea that, look, it's pretty predictable in a weird way. A lot of these Marvel shows and movies end with a giant CGI type battle, which is fine because the stakes are really big. But it happens in WandaVision, it happens in Loki, it happens in all the things. So I mean, I'm sure we're also gonna see that, like a giant.
I mean, or we couldn't, and then we'll just be left with like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Loki. Like I wasn't actually expecting her to kill him. I thought that like they were gonna talk about something. You know what I'm saying? Like like they could. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. And I mean, or it could be like an evil Doctor Strange situation where you just kind of lock Ultron up in his own little bubble of sadness and then just leave him there to rot.
Oh, Doctor Strange is the guy. He's smart enough to Dormammu, I've come to bargain
yes,
Ultron.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that it's an interesting choice to have that super dark Doctor Strange be the one to save the day. Like of course it has to be Doctor Strange. That's why, I love him so much. Gosh. He has to be like my top 5. I love him so much. But I do think that it's going to be really interesting to see what his like actual intentions are because they're going to have to bring back all of these universes in some form. Like that's going to take a lot of power and a lot of practice from Doctor Strange, like with his like I don't even know how they would come about it, because like how are you just going to let everything regrow? Like he destroyed whole ass planets, almost maybe some universes while he was talking to Doctor Strange. Like we really don't know what the fuck is going on. It's my imagination is going insane.
Yeah. Well, I think
what do you think?
I'm excited because we see 2 main stories apart from, of course, Ultron doing his thing.
Right.
But we've got Black Widow, and shoot, I forgot his name. Zola.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, I'm excited for that. It's going to be really fun, and I guess it'll be a finale, so we'll have to see how big it gets. But yeah, and we saw a little Red Guardian. I wonder if we'll see a little Shang-Chi. The Eternals is coming out next month. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit more of what.
So they really tie it together.
But
I mean, maybe if we play it back and then pause it after every punch.
And
break through the grass. Break through the grass. Oh my gosh, break through the glass as they're flying.
Yeah.
We'll probably see like little slivers of universes that we've come across now.
Oh.
And like all the Phase 4 stuff, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
Or some future stuff. Knowing Disney, they would sprinkle some little hints up in there.
Well, we've come to the end of the episode. Well, first of all, let us know what you think and what you're excited for and what you think is going to happen in What If. But we'll be talking about What If next week for the finale.
Whew.
But we come to the end of this episode. Sophia, what do you have to plug?
Just the same old stuff. Thank you times a million to everybody who is listening. We appreciate you so much. And also, if you would like to support us even further, feel free to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/DelphinPod, DelphinPod. And also check out all the other shows that are on this network. There's a lot of cool people talking about some cool stuff. So, and I feel like there's something for like everybody sprinkled in there. So just go check out every other episode or every other show that we got. And then, feel free to follow me on any social medias if you want to. Everything's going to be at _Simply Sophie, SOFIEE.
Well, we will see you next week. Listen to all of the shows on the network. After What If wraps up, we will still be back every single week to talk about some Marvel stuff. And we're only weeks away from another MCU movie that is The Eternals, which I'm really excited about. And who knows, maybe we'll be talking about some Venom 2.
What?
And you're like, that's not MCU. But maybe, I don't know.
But
we'll have to see.
Maybe,
all right.
Maybe we're just bored and want to.
Tell your friends about the pod, rate and review it. We'll see. I guess you'll hear us next week.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.